Hi, welcome back. This is Charlie at My Messy Fingers. We're working on our next signature from the Keepsake edition of Graphic 45's Let It Be. So I've got it mapped out here. We're going to try to approach this systematically so that I get magnets placed where they need to be. So I would hope that you would watch through the entire video so that if I do make a mistake, you'll know what I did to correct it so that the mistake doesn't end up being yours. So here we go. You are going to locate this card and you are going to find this scrap of paper after you've cut your base page. So these two will go together, and then we're going to use this sunflower as a tuck for a photo. All right. And then this is the main page off the front. We're also going to put, using the same polka dot, we're going to put this on the front. And I think it's going to be easier if we just go from back here because some of the pieces have to do with this here. All right, so ta-da, this is going to be 7 3/8 across. And it is going to be 7 3/4 in your height. That hopefully will be the primary base page measurement going forward. In your ephemera, there is this beautiful piece, and we're going to put it up here to kind of break up all the polka dots. And by the way, I am inking my edges with Tim Holtz Black Soot Distress ink. I don't like white edges, so that's what I'm doing. If you want to ink, that's great. If you don't want to ink, that's great. That's entirely up to you. In your packet, you're going to have in the ephemera, there's going to be this card. So I backed it onto some black cardstock and cut it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down here, and I'm only going to glue the top, this edge, and the bottom because we're going to use this as a pocket. All right? So let's go ahead and let's get this glued on. Like I said, this is a piece out of the ephemera. And then I'm just going to very carefully try and line this back up the way I had trimmed it out. All right, now I am going to, like I said, I'm going to tape across here, I'm going to tape here, and I'm going to tape here, and it's going to be a pocket. And I'm going to snuggle this tape right up to that top edge. I think I just did that upside down. No, okay, whoa, I'm so lucky. I had it upside down, but by turning it around the correct way, I have tape on the bottom, which is where I needed to put tape. Okay, and then we're gonna go across here. I am not perfect, folks. I do make mistakes. That's why I would encourage you to watch or just make sure that I'm done with each step and I've moved on. But I will tell you that sometimes I have to adjust magnets, so it might be best if you could watch all the way through if it's not too long. Have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, have a pop, have a glass of wine, and just watch it through. Okay, I'm putting it the correct way. I'm going to come in somewhere right around 1/8 of an inch, maybe to 1/4 of an inch. And then you can see that we have a nice little pocket right here. And you still have room to put a photo or two here. Small photos, but there's room. And then we're going to tack this piece down. Okay. And I'm putting it up here at the top to help break up a lot of this. And it's going to be easier if I turn it over to burnish in the glue, because I don't want to rip these apart. All right, so that's done. Now, what I want to do from here is get all the card stock measured and trimmed, and then we can come back to the pattern paper and the embellishment. So I'm kind of paper clipping my stuff together so that I can keep everything that I've done in one spot. All right, this piece right here is going to measure 5 3/8 across to this edge. I'm not counting the scalloped edge. By 7 3/4, which is your height. You're going to score it at a half and you're going to score it at 5/8. But we're going to mount it this way. All right? Now, when you put this on, you're going to bring your base page right up to the 1/2 inch score line, because I want that hinge on the top. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see it here, where the hinge is on top of the base page. I'm going to push back a little bit to just kind of re-encourage that. Then our next piece that we're going to put on is this piece, and this is where a magnet's going to get posted. All right, so this measures 6 5/8 across by 4 inches. I'm going to put this on last, and I'll show you why. So over here on the left hand panel, this piece is going to measure 6 1/2 inches across, not counting the scallop, by 7 3/4. Again, you're going to score it at a half and you're going to score it at 5/8. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring the base page right up to the 1/2 inch score line, because we want this hinge on the top as well. I'm going to push it back. Now we have a pocket that's going to go on the front of this page, and it is right here. So I'm going to put this on here. I'll give you the measurements in a minute, but I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to use a paper clip to hold it in place, because it has a lot to do with where this is going to go. I don't want to cover this up. So this will come about 3/8 of an inch. I don't want it much taller than that. And it's, do I have tape on this? No. Okay, so let's just go over this again. This is going to measure at 6 5/8 by 4. You're going to have a 1/2 inch score line and a 5/8 score line. This little hinge that you've created needs to wrap around the hinge that's on this side. So we're going to just make sure that this is all going to line up. I want this about 3/8 of an inch above. I'm pinching it. I'm going to roll it over. And when you do that, you're going to see that this hinge lands right on the 5/8 score line. And that's important because you want this hinge to wrap around the hinge on the bottom on this piece. All right. Now I'm taking this off. Now I can take the backing off of my magnet and I can let it drop. All right, everybody got that so far? So now we're going to open it up, and we have one more piece we want to add here. All right, this is going to measure 4 1/8 across by 3 5/8, and then you're going to do a 1/2 inch score. You're going to tape it, and we're going to mount it on the inside just in front of this magnet. All right, I'm going to turn mine around so that I make sure that I get it lined up on the edge the correct way. Just in front of the magnet, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. We don't want this interfering with that magnet, because then the magnet's got to go through this extra layer, and there's going to be 2 more pieces of paper on here, so we don't want to do that. All right. So then when we get in here, I hope I remember all my parts where they go. We've got another little piece that we're going to add. It's going to come in right here on this edge. You're going to center it as best as you can. I'm just going to quickly glue this because it really doesn't need any tape. All right, but I'm also going to turn this so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to kind of just eyeball centering it. Ta-da! All right, so here we have all of our crucial pieces attached. So let's go ahead and let's move to the inside and let's start playing. So now the pieces will come together a little bit easier because we've already got this cut and determined. These are all going to go right there. Okay, so in your scrap pieces, you should have this. And you should have this. If you don't, you should, because these are trimmings that were left over from a previous cut. But if you don't, this is the piece that you're going to be using. On the reverse side is this green polka dot, because it's this piece right here. And now that no, I don't have any extra, so I think you're fine. If you have to use the other piece, use it. No big deal. Okay, we don't have any magnets, and by the way, I never glue a piece down where there's a magnet. I always tape it, because if I ever have to get to that magnet, I can't once I've glued it down. So I use tape, because I use undo to remove the tape so I can save the paper and save that piece. So we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Otherwise, I use glue on almost the remaining part of the project. Never with my magnets. And I'm emphasizing that because I had somebody that got a bit upset because she glued hers down and then needed to make an adjustment. And I know I always use tape, so I apologize. But if you have to fix a mistake, you can't do it with the glue. Okay, we're going to glue this down. Close that, and we're going to use this piece out here. I am now trying to remember, because I didn't keep everything together, what I was doing. It's going to go here. So I'm going to brighten this up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this in place. Pull this down. Oops, come on. I just want to pull it down here a little bit. Sorry about the arm reach, but I'm trying to get this laid in the way I want it. Okay, we got a little pocket that's going to go down here. This pocket measures 2 inches in its height by 4 3/4, and it's going to come right down here. And where I want you to start is here on the hinge end, and then you will place it going forward. I want to trim this. I don't want this overhanging. It is just, to me, I see it, and it just looks like I didn't measure right. So I'm going to just trim that right off of there. So if I come in from the hinge end so that this is level, and the reason I do that is it helps to give support to the hinge. And then it comes forward, and then this is even with my paper. So we're going to add some tape. And this is a pocket. I like to use tape on my pockets because glue spreads and it can take away from your pocket size. And this way I know what room the tape is taking up. Okay, starting here at the hinge end, and then run it across the bottom, and we stick it down. Now, in the scraps, there's this piece. Backside looks like this. This is what I'm putting in right here. And then I'm using this ephemera piece that says Sunflower Wishes and Honeybee Kisses. And we're just going to set that right there, add some color to this. And then we're going to glue this in. Now if you want to add a little bit of ribbon to this, go ahead. There are holes here to do that, but I'm not. Okay, so now we're going to open this back up, and this piece that says "Don't worry, be happy," I did back it on black cardstock. I did run 1/4 inch tape across it, and this is what's going to go down here across the bottom. And now we have a nice tuck, and you still have room to put probably a 4x6 photo. So let's go ahead and let's work on this here. So in your cutouts is this tag. It says 2 cents. It's got the little honey bee nest, and it's going to go, this is on your cut aparts. This is going to go right here. It gets difficult sometimes to see your edges when you've got black on black. Okay, and then we're going to turn it up, and then there's this piece. This is the reverse side, but I'm using the yellow. And then we're going to take one of the ephemera pieces so that you can create a tuck with this. Now, if you want to use this honeycomb side, go ahead. You can make whatever changes you want on what side of paper you use. It's entirely up to you. And then I'm just going to gently glue here these edges. I don't want that glue to spread too far, but I want to maximize the pocket as much as I can. So you can come in here and you can tuck a small, decent sized photo. This almost fits. You could probably trim this one of these down and it would fit just fine. All right, so here in your scraps, you're going to have the the green polka dot, and that's what's going to mount here to the outside. Now, I have a magnet, so I am going to be putting this on with some tape. And it's just something else I do. I don't know that it matters to you, but always put the magnet on the side that's going to have the least amount of paper being stacked on top of it. So if I put that magnet out here, it would have to go all the way through this thickness. So you don't really want to do that, because you're going to have enough thickness by adding in this. Okay. I'm going to just kind of come down here. Okay, fold that down, fold this over, and this is the Don't Worry, Be Happy. And I don't have a magnet here, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue this in. Okay, get that situated there, and I'm going to go this way with it. It's going to be easier to burnish it. All right. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to work on our left side panel. We're going to have a pocket, and when you lay this in, you're going to lay it just in front of this score mark. The score line that you have here. This is your 5/8 score line. And this measures at 2 inches by the height of the signature, which is your 7 3/4. So I'm going to sneak in just in front of it because I want to make sure that I'm not laying on top of it or interfering with this is your hinge, so we don't want to get stuff stuck in there. All right, now I took some black polka dot and we're going to cover this. And then I'm using these 2 ephemera sunflowers, and then in the middle we're putting Sweet as Can Be right there in the middle. All right? Space these out just a little bit so I can kind of figure out where I'm putting everything. All right. Okay, so that's done. Now for over here, this card, and again, you can switch out your cards, but this is the one I'm using, and the reason I'm using it is because I've got black polka dot here, I've got black polka dot here, so it kind of ties this in together. But then I'm using this piece here for the back, and then I'm going to add a little bit of a polka dot edge just again to tie this all in together. Oops. And then I want to just put this right on the outer edge. Now you're going to put a photo here So it will cover some of this, but it will also act as a nice visual accent. Behind the photo. So now we're going to turn this over. We're going to take some glue. All right, now I'm going to come back in here because I was thinking about this. And if I have enough, no, I sure don't. I was going to run some of this here. Oh, I do have a big piece. I have a big piece, so I'm going to just take off about 1/2 inch. Mark it. Say these little things because you might find that you're going to be using them. And we'll just put it right here on this inside so then it kind of ties it all together on this side. And it's just about 1/2 inch wide. Okay. Close that up. And then for the outside, again, I showed you this earlier. This is the piece. It's got the yellow polka dots. And it's going to go right here, but I have a magnet, so I am going to put magnet or tape on the back side of this. Alright, so I'm going to line this up here. And then we're going to make a pocket here on the front, right here at the bottom. We had allowed for measurement on that for the closing flap. And we're going to use a piece of green polka dot. And then this is the piece out of the ephemera that I used, and I used some of the check and black white ribbon that I have. And it's just going to go right here. So this is the piece we've got to put down first. So I'm going to center this, turn it over, and glue that in place. And then I'm going to glue that in place. And then it's going to go down on this. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack a little bit of glue behind here so that this will not be floating but pretty stationary. Okay. Oh my, it's getting hung up in the threads. And now we're going to put some tape back here. It's a rounded edge, so I'm trying to get the tape around it. Okay, so then this is going to go down here. I have some overhang. There we go. All right, so once again I'm going to start here at the hinge end and I'm going to come forward. Ta-da! We have it done. So let's briefly kind of go back through this. So we have let it, don't worry, be happy. We've got ourselves a nice little pocket. Now you will be able to put some items in here, but not a lot because you still want this magnet to be effective, okay? Just warning, just a heads up. And then we've got a little sunflower here for tucking in a small photo, and you can put a larger photo down here. And we have a nice pocket here. And on this side we have a great big pocket, and then we've got a spot for a photo here. And then when you open this up, we've got a tuck, plus you can put photos, and you can still put a small photo here or over this. Don't put this on at all, and then have spots for photos, but then you've also got yourselves a pocket. So let's get the big tape out so that we can get this on the back. And then we'll get it mounted in our book. And then we're going to use, or I'm going to use 3/8 here in the middle for support. And this is going to sit here on this side. So we had that there, and we're going to be right here. I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to take off my spine tape cover first, and then the two support. Then I'm going to lay it right up next to the edge. Make sure that I'm not too crooked here. Burnish our tape down, and then we're going to go ahead and start peeling the paper off the rest of the tape. I don't want to take that one off yet. And then once again, I'm going to push back on this hinge so that it's standing up straight before I put the rest of the tape down. Okay, so let's get in here and let's finish burnishing. All right, there we have it. Okay, we've got another signature coming up, so I'll see you then. Bye-bye.